You've been told that if you just work harder, you'll eventually make it. That more hours mean more money. That hustle is the answer. But let's be real, how many times have you pushed yourself to the edge only to feel like nothing's changing? You've done the work, you've stayed up late, you've sacrificed. And yet, the money doesn't stretch, the pressure doesn't stop, and your life still feels stuck. You're not broken, you're not lazy, and you're definitely not the problem. You've just been playing a game with rules you were never taught. A game where effort is praised but direction is ignored. A game that rewards motion but not results. If you don't understand how this game really works, you'll spend your entire life grinding harder for less. But that changes right now, because today you stop running in circles. You stop chasing empty promises, and you finally see the truth behind why so many people work hard their entire lives and still stay broke. We're about to pull back the curtain. We're going to expose the trap, show you what actually works, and give you the tools to build a life that works for you, not against you. Stick with me, because what's coming next could flip your entire future. Most of us grew up hearing the same message over and over: work hard and you'll succeed. Put in the effort, pay your dues, and eventually you'll get your reward. But look around, how many people do you know who've worked themselves to the bone only to still live paycheck to paycheck? How many people are barely getting by despite showing up early, staying late, and giving it everything they have? Let me tell you something. The idea that hard work alone leads to wealth is only half the truth, and a half-truth is still a lie. Hard work is important, yes, but it's not the full answer. It's only one piece of the puzzle. The truth is, effort without direction leads you in circles. You can run yourself into the ground doing the wrong things and still end up stuck. And that's exactly where most people are right now, stuck, not because they don't try, but because they've been taught to try the wrong way. There's a reason the richest people in the world aren't the ones working the longest hours with the heaviest tools. They're not always the ones sweating the most. In fact, some of the hardest working people you'll ever meet are broke. So ask yourself, if effort equals wealth, why are the hardest workers often the poorest? Because it's not just about effort, it's about how that effort is used. That's the piece they never taught you. We live in a world that praises hustle and glorifies being busy. If you're always on the move, people think you're doing something right, but there's a big difference between movement and progress. Running on a treadmill and running toward a destination both take effort, but only one gets you somewhere new. That's the trap. The trap is confusing productivity with prosperity. Just because you're working doesn't mean you're winning. There's something called the time for money trap. It's simple, you trade your hours for dollars. The more you work, the more you earn. But the moment you stop, the money stops too. That means your income is tied to your energy, your health, and your time, and you only have so much of each. This trap keeps people stuck no matter how much they hustle. You can't scale time. You can't multiply your hours. So if your entire income depends on how much you physically do, you've already hit a wall. That's why so many people burn out. They're giving everything they have to a system that gives them barely enough to survive. Stop glorifying burnout and start seeking breakthrough. Stop worshiping the hustle and start working smarter. Because it's not about how hard you work, it's about what your work is building. You can pour everything you've got into the wrong bucket and still come up empty. That's what most people are doing. They're pouring their life, their strength, their hope into a system full of holes. It leaks, it drains them. And no matter how fast they fill it, it never stays full. What's missing isn't effort. What's missing is direction. You need to point your work in the right place. You need to aim before you fire. Because without direction, discipline becomes a burden. You end up disciplined for the wrong things, loyal to the wrong systems, stuck in the wrong patterns. If you don't break out of this trap now, you'll spend the next 40 years on a treadmill. You'll wake up, clock in, grind through the day, and go to sleep just to do it all again. And one day you'll look back and wonder where all the time went, why you gave so much but got so little. That doesn't have to be your story. You can change your direction. You can aim higher. But first, you've got to stop believing the lie that hard work alone is enough. It's not. You need smart work, focused work, work that builds something beyond just another paycheck. Work that grows even when you rest. Work that leads to freedom, not just fatigue. That starts now. That starts with the truth. You've been taught to work harder, put in more hours, grind through the pain, and eventually something will change. But what if I told you the people who are truly wealthy don't follow that rule? They're not outworking you. They're outsmarting the system. They've learned something the average person was never shown. They understand how money works, how time works, and most of all, how value works. And that changes everything. See, rich people don't just chase a paycheck. They chase ownership. They build systems. They create things that live and grow beyond their effort. That's the key difference. That's what you were never taught. It's not about how much you do, it's about what your actions lead to. It's about building something that runs even when you're not there. Let me ask you this. Are you building a money machine, or are you just clocking in? Because if your income stops the second you stop working, that's not freedom. That's a trap. Wealthy people build pipelines. They don't carry buckets. They don't rely on a single stream of income that drains their energy. They create multiple flows that move without them. They own things that work for them, even when they're asleep. They don't just make money, they make systems that do the work. Here's the truth most never hear. You don't get rich by trading your time. You get rich by building something that grows without you. Trading time is a limited plan. You only have 24 hours in a day. But when you own something, when you build a product, a platform, a skill that earns while you rest, you've moved beyond the trap. You're no longer just a worker. You've become a builder, and builders have power. Wealth isn't random, it's not luck, it's not about being born into the right family. It's a formula: leverage plus systems plus smart decisions equals freedom. That's it. You don't need a fancy degree, you don't need a perfect background, you just need to learn what works and be bold enough to apply it. Let me break it down even simpler. Leverage means using something to multiply your results. That could be your skills, your voice, your money, or even your time if it's used wisely. Systems are the steps you set up so that your effort repeats without you. That could be an online store, a digital course, an investment account, or a business with people in place. And smart decisions, that's about saying no to what drains you and yes to what builds you. It's about not getting distracted by quick fixes and instead planting seeds that grow over time. Wealth isn't earned, it's engineered over and over again. People who seem lucky, they followed a plan, they learned how to make their effort count. They stopped grinding for scraps and started building something that lasts. They didn't just wake up rich, they studied, applied, failed, and kept building. Let's take a look at how this works in the real world. Think about someone who writes a book. They spend time up front, maybe a few months, but once that book is done, it can keep selling for years. That's income that doesn't depend on more hours. That's leverage. Or someone who creates an online store. They build it once, set up the products, and the store runs 24/7. They're not tied to it. It moves on its own. Or an investor who puts money in something smart. It grows while they sleep. Now compare that to someone who punches a clock every day. They miss work, they lose money, they get sick, they lose money, they stop working, everything stops. That's the reality most people are trapped in. They've been trained to stay on the wheel, but you don't have to stay there. Start building value that outlives your effort. Stop putting all your time into a job that takes everything and gives little back. Build something that continues even when you pause. That's how you stop being stuck. That's how you stop trading all your time for a little money. You need to shift your focus from earning more hours to building better systems, from showing up more to creating more, from depending on one check to building multiple streams. Because while you're running on a wheel, someone else is building pipelines. They're setting up income that flows automatically. They're using their energy to multiply their freedom, not just survive another month. This isn't about fantasy. This is about switching how you think and work. You don't need more hustle. You need better direction. Learn the code the rich live by, apply it step by step. And one day your income won't depend on how tired you are. It'll depend on how smart you've built. That's how real wealth works. From the time you were a child, you were taught to sit still, follow directions, raise your hand, and wait your turn. You were trained to memorize facts, pass tests, and obey rules. That's not education, that's programming. Schools didn't prepare you for freedom. They prepared you to follow. They didn't show you how to build wealth. They showed you how to be a good worker, a quiet worker, a safe worker. You learned how to write essays, but not how to write a business plan. You studied equations, but not how interest works in your savings account. You were tested on dates in history, but no one taught you how to invest, how to own something, or how to turn ideas into income. They gave you a schedule, they gave you structure, but they never gave you the keys to real freedom. And let's be honest, did they ever teach you how to build wealth, or just how to follow instructions? You were trained to show up on time, listen to authority, do your job, and not ask too many questions. That's not preparation for success. That's preparation for dependence. Now, hear this clearly. This isn't about disrespecting teachers. It's about questioning the system, because that system was never designed to make you free. It was designed to keep things running the way they've always run. That means most people walk out of school with a degree and a dream, but no idea how money actually works. They have knowledge, but not power. There's a huge difference between academic achievement and financial freedom. One gives you a paper with your name on it. The other gives you options, choices, control over your life. One looks good on a wall. The other puts food on your table and peace in your home. And the painful part is, we confuse the two. We think because we did well in school, we're set up for success. But success doesn't come from grades, it comes from growth. And growth requires a whole different kind of learning. Let me tell you something that might shake you. You've been playing a game your whole life without knowing the rules. It's like sitting down at a Monopoly board and no one ever told you what the colors mean, what houses do, or how to win. You're just rolling the dice, hoping something works. That's how most people live. Educated by a system that didn't teach them the rules of money, the rules of risk, or the rules of ownership. You have to unlearn the system that taught you how to survive and relearn how to thrive. That means questioning what you were taught. It means seeking answers they never gave you. It means understanding that memorizing facts won't make you free. Knowing how to solve for X won't help you if you don't know how to solve your rent. You need a different kind of education now. One that comes from curiosity, from experience, from bold decisions. Learning facts helps you pass a test, but learning freedom helps you build a life. Facts tell you what happened. Freedom teaches you how to move, and freedom doesn't come from textbooks. It comes from waking up and deciding you will no longer let someone else write your future. This is where self-education begins. It starts the moment you take control of your learning. When you stop waiting for someone to hand you answers and you go searching for them. It's in the books no one assigned. It's in the mentors who've lived what you're trying to build. It's in the late-night videos, the courses, the conversations that open your eyes. It's in the courage to admit you were trained to fit in, but now you're ready to stand out. You don't need another class. You need clarity. You don't need more memorization. You need direction. You don't need more rules. You need real tools. Tools that help you build something, own something, and grow something that's yours. So from this day forward, don't let your past education be your limit. Let it be your start. You're not behind. You're just waking up. And now that you see the system for what it really is, you can start building your own. One that doesn't depend on someone else's permission. One that leads to freedom, not just survival. You weren't made to follow forever. You were made to learn, grow, and lead. And that begins the moment you decide to teach yourself what the system never would. You can learn every wealth-building strategy in the world, but none of it matters if fear still owns your mind. You're not just trapped by what you don't know. You're trapped by what you're scared to face. Fear keeps you small. It whispers lies that sound like truth. It tells you to wait, to play it safe, to stick with what you know, even if what you know is slowly draining you. That comfort zone you've built, it feels warm, it feels familiar. But it's not your friend, it's your silent prison. It doesn't have bars, but it has limits. It doesn't scream, but it softly tells you to settle. You don't grow there, you survive. And survival isn't living, it's coasting, it's drifting. And one day you wake up and realize life passed you by while you stood still. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of losing what little you have. That's what keeps people stuck in jobs they hate. That's what keeps them from starting the business, writing the book, chasing the dream. They stay quiet, they stay hidden, not because they lack the talent, but because they fear the cost of stepping out. But let me ask you, how long will you let fear steal your future? How many more years will you trade your dreams for a paycheck? How long will you choose the path that feels safe but slowly breaks your spirit? Let me tell you something, fear will always be there, but it only wins if you stop moving. Fear doesn't have power, you give it power. Every time you say, I'm not ready, fear grows. Every time you choose silence over risk, fear grows. Every time you downplay your potential just to fit in, fear wins again. It's time to break that pattern. Face your excuses. Replace comfort with courage. You don't need to be fearless. You just need to be brave enough to take the next step while you're still scared. Brave enough to say, I want more than this. Brave enough to say, I won't stay where I don't belong. You were made for more, but you have to move for more. You were made for more, but you have to stretch, to risk, to push. You were made for more, but more won't find you. While you hide behind fear, more won't come knocking. You have to open the door, and to do that, you have to stop gripping what feels safe and start reaching for what feels possible. The truth is, holding on to safety is costing you success. Playing small isn't protecting you, it's robbing you. Every time you delay your purpose, someone else misses the help. Only you can give. Every time you shrink back, you lose time you'll never get back. Comfort may feel good now, but regret lasts longer. You can't reach new heights while gripping the ledge of familiarity. You can't climb if both hands are holding on to what you're afraid to leave. Growth means letting go. It means leaving the old and trusting that something better is waiting ahead. It means jumping not because it's easy, but because staying still is no longer an option. And don't think for 1 second that you're the only one who feels this fear. Every successful person you admire, they were scared too, but they did it anyway. They spoke when their voice shook. They moved before they had it all figured out. They failed, but they got back up. And that's why they made it. Not because they never had fear, but because they refused to let fear make the final decision. Now it's your turn, not next year, not next month. Now decide that fear will no longer run the show. Decide that comfort will no longer be your cage. Decide that your dreams are worth more than your doubts. You don't need perfect timing. You don't need all the answers. You just need one reason to start and the courage to take the first step. Let today be that step. Let today be the day you stop waiting and start building. Because the life you want is on the other side of fear, and you're the only one who can walk through it. You can only grind for so long before your energy runs out. You can only hustle so hard before your body, your time, and your life hit a limit. And that's the truth most people miss. Hard work has a ceiling. You can't multiply hours. You can't stretch your time. And if your income depends only on how much you can physically do, you're living under a cap that's never gonna move. But there's a way out. It's called leverage. And this is where everything starts to change. Leverage is when you use something beyond yourself to grow your results. You take your time, your tools, your team, and your technology, and you use them to create more than what you alone could ever produce. That's how real wealth is built. Let me ask you something. What are you building today that can pay you tomorrow? What are you creating now that will still work for you while you sleep, rest, or take a step back? If your answer is nothing, that's where your power is leaking. You're not behind, you're just not building leverage yet. Let's look at real people doing this right. A writer creates an ebook once, and it keeps selling for years. A YouTuber uploads a video, and it keeps earning views and money long after it's posted. A small business owner builds a system, trains a team, and suddenly their income grows without them being involved in every single task. An investor puts money into the right place and lets it grow on its own. That's leverage. You have the same opportunity. You don't need fame. You don't need $1 million to start. You just need to shift your mindset from doing more to building smarter. From spending your time to setting up systems that free your time. You have something people want. Skills, stories, lessons, talents. So the real question is, are you packaging that into something useful? Or are you hiding it behind a 9-to-5 that leaves no room for growth? You were given a voice, use it. You were given ideas, build with them. You were given the ability to learn, so learn how to multiply what you do. Leverage your skills, leverage your voice, leverage your impact. Don't let your effort stop with you. Build something that lives beyond your hands. Create systems, build processes. Find tools that work while you rest. That's how you break the cycle of trading time for dollars. Stop trading time. Start building tools. Stop trading time. Start building tools. Let that repeat in your head every single day. You don't have to do more. You have to build better. Better tools, better systems, better ways to use your energy. Right now, some people are digging. They're using everything they've got to go a little deeper. And they're tired, they're drained. And at the end of it, they're still in a hole. But others, they're building ladders. They're using what they know to climb out. One step at a time, one idea at a time. They're not working harder, they're working higher. You don't need to dig deeper. You need to rise smarter. You need to stop using your time like a shovel and start using your mind like a ladder. Use what you've been through. Use what you've learned. Turn your knowledge into something that lifts you, something that frees you. This is your shift from hustle to high return action. From burnout to smart growth, from doing it all to building things that do the work with or without you. That's not a dream. That's how real success is built. So look at your life today and ask, what can I build once that works more than once? What can I record, create, write, teach, or launch that grows on its own? Because that's the shift. That's the step. And you don't have to wait. You can start small. Start now. Just start building leverage, and you'll never be stuck again. What separates the rich from the struggling often isn't intelligence, talent, or luck. It's habits. The daily choices you make when no one's looking. The routines you follow when it's not exciting. The things you repeat over and over that either push you forward or pull you down. Wealth isn't built in one big move. It's built in the little things you do every single day when no one is watching. So ask yourself right now, are your habits creating income or killing it? Are they building something real or just keeping you distracted? Because here's the truth, most people ignore. Your habits are either quietly growing your future or silently destroying it. You want to know what wealthy people do every day. They don't just scroll, they study. They don't waste the morning, they own it. They read, they learn, they plan, they build. They take what they know and turn it into something useful. They're not just consumers, they're creators. That's the switch you've got to make if you want your life to look different. You can't just soak up content. You have to do something with it. Take action, produce, add value. Let's break this down even more. There are two types of people, those who consume more than they create, and those who create more than they consume. The first group scrolls, watches, listens, but rarely moves. They're full of ideas, but empty on execution. The second group, they take what they learn and do something with it. They build, they share, they solve problems, and over time they get paid for what they've built. That's how wealth works. Live every day like it builds your future. Because it does. Every minute matters. Every hour adds up. You don't need perfect days. You need repeatable ones. Routines that shape you into someone that success can trust. What you do daily becomes your destiny. Say it again. What you do daily becomes your destiny. You can't expect a life of freedom if your habits are built on delay and distraction. You won't build wealth by reacting all day. You build it by being intentional. By choosing what matters even when no one's checking. Think of your habits like bricks. You're laying them one by one. Every day you choose growth, you place a strong one. Every day you choose delay, you lay a weak one. And over time, you're either building a home for your dreams or a wall that keeps you stuck. So build wisely. Stack your days with discipline. Stack your actions with focus. Make routine your greatest asset, not your quiet assassin. Because bad habits don't destroy you loudly. They destroy you slowly, quietly, while you're busy, while you're distracted. They rob you of years without warning. But strong habits, they build silently too. And one day you wake up and realize your life is no longer a mess of pressure. It's a product of steady progress. This is your chance to choose, to wake up with a purpose, to write down your goals, to start the project, to build the skill, to invest in your mind. No one's gonna do it for you. You don't need someone to save you. You need to save your time from the things that don't matter. Start with one habit, one shift, one change. Turn your mornings into a launch pad. Turn your evenings into a time for review, not escape. Cut the noise, choose the work, choose the process. Because when you do, your habits stop being a weight and start being a weapon. This isn't about being perfect, it's about being consistent. It's about knowing that your future is being built right now, not someday, not next year, now. So choose habits that match where you want to go. Build routines that make you strong when life gets tough. You don't rise in the big moments, you rise in the small ones that prepare you. Wealth isn't just about what's in your wallet, it's about what's in your daily walk. Change your walk and your world will follow. You've worked hard, you've put in the hours, you've tried your best, but deep down you know something's missing. The problem isn't your effort, the problem is where that effort is going. Most people don't fail because they're lazy, they fail because they're misaligned. They're putting energy into systems that don't work. They're grinding in circles, not building toward freedom. So let's set the record straight. It's not about more effort, it's about aligned effort. You can hustle day and night, but if it's not leading somewhere that grows, you'll stay stuck. Movement isn't progress. Sweat isn't success. You need direction. You need clarity. You need to know that what you're building today can lead to something bigger tomorrow. So here's the real question. What are you willing to change starting today? Not someday, not later, today. Because if you keep doing what's comfortable, you'll keep getting what's familiar. And if that's not enough for you anymore, then now is your time to move different. Don't just grind with vision. Don't just move with meaning. Don't just work, build. Repetition matters. What you repeat becomes your routine. So repeat this in your heart. Don't just grind with vision. Don't just move with meaning. Right now you have a choice, a real one. Not to fix everything at once, but to change something. Commit to one change, one shift, one bold move. It might be learning a new skill. It might be waking up earlier to plan. It might be cutting off distractions that waste your time. It might be finally launching what you've been afraid to start. But pick one and go. You've already sacrificed so much. Your time, your energy, your dreams. You've given up sleep, peace, and years, hoping things would get better. And now you know why they didn't. It wasn't you, it was the direction. You were running but not rising. You were climbing but on the wrong ladder. You were building but not owning. That ends here. You're not caged, you're just waiting to fly. You've had wings this whole time. You've had ideas, gifts, and the drive to push. What you've needed is the courage to stop doing what keeps you grounded. Let go of what's holding you down. You weren't made to stay stuck. You weren't built to settle. You were made to rise, to lead, to build a life that reflects your effort, not buries it. So this is your final charge. Align your effort with wealth principles and never settle again. Stop working for survival and start working for freedom. Stop showing up just to get through the day and start showing up to build something real. Stop pouring your time into holes and start planting seeds. Because once your effort lines up with the right direction, everything changes. Your days won't feel wasted. Your work will build. Your movement will matter. And your life will finally reflect the level of drive you've always had inside you. Now go. Go with vision. Go with fire. Go with focus. And don't just hustle. Hustle in the right direction.